Black Adam, the badass anti-hero that was going to change the balance of power in the DC Extended Universe, did not survive contact with the box office, as Black Adam and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson appears to be out in the cold now as far as the DC Extended Universe's future is concerned. As he writes here on Twitter, "James Gunn and I connected, and Black Adam will not be in their first chapter of storytelling." First chapter. Now, that reads a pinch optimistic, perhaps, but you gotta remember this is pretty much The Rock's job here, to remain cheerleading and optimistic for this role that he's been, urging on for over a decade now. And in reality, considering the entirety of the DC Extended Universe's cinematic future rests on a de facto origin story reboot of a Superman character without Henry Cavill, I feel relatively confident in predicting that there's not going to be a chapter 2 to this particular story. At the very least, I'm going to be very surprised if there is. James Gunn is going to have to hit this one out of the park. It's going to need to orbit Earth like Superman in the first movie to have any chance of being a successful reboot of the franchise at this point. Bringing back Henry Cavill as his version of Superman, a positive Superman, that would have been a great way to actually get some, fan goodwill on board, but booting him out in the cold, just as you got him on board and even got him to announce that he was coming back, well, you've achieved the exact opposite here, and what's worse is, too, it makes the entirety of the DC staff look, well, incompetent, scatterbrained, and tremendously disorganized, as of course we were told that all kinds of projects were apparently in the work, like they were planning for his return for quite some time. There were going to be movies and TV shows and cameos and all kinds of stuff. We were going to get Henry Cavill back. He was going to be in the driver's seat. We were going to get his Superman. Actually, there was a response to this tweet which I quite liked. "Thank you for letting me experience Cavill's Superman on the big screen for once, even if it was for a second." And you know what? I can't agree more. I really can't. The appearance of Henry Cavill as a bright, colourful, optimistic Superman, rather than the grey and dull, boring version we actually got, well, it was a ray of hope to me, but, well, you know what they say about hope and all that. As it now turns out that apparently Henry Cavill's deal to return to DC as Superman was apparently just a verbal agreement? What? Okay, so, right, just a verbal agreement, but committal enough to the point where Cavill feels secure to send out, to raise the flag and send out the message on Instagram that he is officially returning as Superman, and perhaps even quitting his role on The Witcher for this. That's an interesting agreement, and kind of makes it seem as if Cavill just got screwed over royally as well. There are some rumours going around as well that this was apparently a part of The Rock's big plan. So the idea is that Dwayne realised that Henry Cavill had a tremendous amount of geekdom street cred, and so he needed to get him on board as an integral part of his Black Adam idea, where if he could announce that Henry Cavill was coming, he would have legions of fans lining up to support him in the hopes of bringing back Cavill. So if this worked out, and Black Adam became a smash box office hit, then Dwayne would essentially be the cornerstone here. He would be the linchpin. He would be sitting pretty at the very basis and the center of the DC Extended Universe, even to the point of having Superman essentially orbiting around him. It's a clever plan. If it had worked, but it didn't. The problem is, no one was necessarily all that excited for a Rock superhero portrayal out of Black Adam 2. It was a bit of a weird one even from its announcement, frankly, and the movie itself was alright at best, but any movie that I can say needed to be an hour shorter has a lot of problems, shall we say. And I don't know how much stock I put into those rumours. That he set all of this up. Again, it would have been a brilliant move if it worked out, and, well, he he certainly has the basic toolkit to perhaps be considered a slightly manipulative individual. Who knows? I got no idea, so I'm not going to pass any judgment on that one there. But the thing that I find annoying about this too is, I was actually genuinely a pinch optimistic there, because again, Henry Cavill's view on Superman appeared to align very well with my own, namely Superman. I recently rewatched the old Superman movie, the original, and 2 and 3 as well, and what is so remarkable is how different a character Superman is. Well, more like how he's portrayed, but no, how different he as a character he is as well. You've got the origin story, it would be pointless today, but back then, of course, you need to establish the character for the wider audience and the cinema-going people, etc. And most of his exploits when Superman is introduced is actually banal shit. Yeah, he saves Air Force One, you know, the president's plane, by turning into one of its motors and helping it land securely, but the rest of the time he's stopping like a jewel thief, climbing the outside of a building, he's saving a cat from a tree, and stopping some bank robbers. Like, the only supervillain is Lex Luthor, who doesn't even, like, trick him with a particularly grand and glorious plan, he just, you know, hangs a kryptonite thing around his neck. Like, it's a remarkably banal story, and yet it was a smash success that made Superman a household name. Like, it made him huge, what he is today, to the point where the two origin stories anyone in the world knows is that of Jesus Christ and Superman. It quintupled its budget. You know, it earned back 5 times. It was tremendous. And that was despite being the most expensive movie ever made at the time. And yet now we've got Man of Steel, and it's just a dark, gritty, brooding goddamn movie where Superman needs to kill someone in the very first one. And the worst part too is, DC just seems to want to bury themselves so hard. The Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Superman project, that's still happening. I don't know who asked for that, I don't know who is continuing to ask for that, and I certainly don't know who is asking this guy to be running it. Ta-Nehisi Coates is, what would refer to as a rather spicy individual, was he not protected by the near entirety of the left-wing establishment. In fact, I'm pretty sure we would brand him as a good old-fashioned racist in most actual contexts, but details, you know? It is the current year after all, and that's still going ahead. Now here's the thing. If Superman, at the moment, was a stale and overdone character, right? If we were back years and years ago with, like, Superman 4, The Return of Superman, etc., then sure, doing something completely off the wall would be highly warranted, and an alternative timeline view on a black Superman? Alright. I'm gonna need a little bit more than just his skin color, mind you, but there is a potential there. But right now, what people are asking for isn't a radical reimagining of Superman, or an alternative storyline of Superman, or a Superman because different skin color. They're asking for this. Just Superman, goddammit. And Even if we were to assume, right, that all of the allegations against The Rock was completely correct, the worst person in history, etc., even if we assumed all of that, I still think he had the right idea for the DC Extended Universe, a return to the heroes, making good heroes, making good superhero movies. Like, what Black Adam did very well was showing him off as an absolute badass. In fact, they should have focused more on showing him off as like a badass. They kind of tried to do that Iron Man thing for a little bit, where you've got blaring metal music as he's doing awesome shit in the background, but it lasts for such a short period of time, and it is such a small part of an otherwise rather bloated movie that it comes across just feeling like a minor interlude of kind of goodness, an otherwise bland and boring pile of sludge. It's kind of like, imagine Iron Man 1, except 90% of the movie is the last part of the movie. You know, the one everybody hates, where he's having a fight with a bald-headed dude, and he's not doing cool Iron Man shit like saving people in the world, or building his first suit, or experimenting with it, etc. Most of the movie is just that last boring fight scene. Yeah, that's pretty much how I describe Black Adam. It's like, he had the idea, but he didn't know how to execute it. Or maybe he didn't have enough control, who the hell knows. But I think he was on the right track. But I guess we'll never know now. And unless James Gunn can absolutely blow everyone out of their seats with his de facto origin story, the 51st made of Superman, there was a moment there when I thought that the DCEU might actually get back in it and compete with the now kind of old and boring and dying Marvel that has already done it. Like, Marvel is in the position now where it's stale and needs to do something crazy and off the wall, and it isn't doing it. And so maybe DC had a chance, but it seems like the entire staff and the owners of it are absolutely intent on remaining second fiddle to Marvel. Oh well. It's a strange fetish to have, but one I suppose I have no choice but to respect. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching. I see you all again soon. Have a good day.